Hello.
See if I still know how to do it. With Mandarin? I'm pretty sure.
Hello. Hi. Yeah. Do you speak English? English? Are you from China?
Hey.
Yeah.
Yes.
From China?
China.
China. China. China. Yeah. Okay.
There has been a 920% increase in illegal US border crossings by Chinese nationals. What has caused this sudden flood of Chinese nationals fleeing China, putting their lives at risk and paying smugglers up to $50,000 each just to escape into America? Now, these aren't impoverished people escaping some kind of a war-torn scenario where their country is in some sort of ruin or they're escaping extreme poverty or something like that. No, these are decidedly middle-class Chinese nationals that are being rounded up at the border here. They're either being caught or slipping through. And the question arises, why have we seen such a massive increase in the trafficking of Chinese across not only the southern but also the northern borders of the USA? Well, first, let's go back to China. What you're seeing here is some footage that was taken a week ago in Beijing, outside of the Beijing US Embassy. Now, these queues that you see, these massive queues, are people that are lining up for their visa interviews. Now, for those of you who don't know how this works, I've been through this process myself, is when you want to apply for a visa to come to the USA, be it a tourist visa, student visa, a work visa, whichever kind of visa that you're applying for, there's a very long process. It starts out with you setting things up online. You have to input all your personal information. It's a very, very long process. But once you've gone through all the online applications, submitting all your documents and, doing all of this and that, the next thing, you finally get to the point where you can then go for your visa interview. And that's what you're seeing here, people lining up for their interview. So what you do is you line up, you go inside, they take your biometrics, your fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. And then you get to see a consular official. And their job is to vet you, to make sure that you're not somebody trying to scam the system or illegally immigrate or something like that. And of course, if you have nothing to hide, it's a fairly straightforward process. I had to go there with my wife, and my wife had to have her interview separately, and I had my own interview, before we came to the States. But I remember while I was standing in line, the person in front of me, a Chinese national, was refused. Why he was refused, I can't say for sure. I know he was trying to get a student visa, and the consular lady, she looked at his documentation and said, I'm sorry, but I'm refusing your application today, and stamp, and he had to leave. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of why so many Chinese nationals are illegally crossing the borders into the USA right now, here's a word from today's sponsor, Surfshark. The rat race. Responsibilities. Hey, I get it. None of us have time to think about internet security. But you know what? We don't pay attention to this stuff because we think we've got more important things to do. But this is probably one of the most important things that we have to pay attention to in the modern world. Everything is hinged on our internet security. Our banking passwords, our privacy, our personal information, everything is right there for the taking for a competent hacker. And this is why we need someone in our corner. Not all of us have a cool uncle who's a ninja when it comes to internet security. No, and that's where Surfshark comes in. If you want peace of mind, Surfshark is the way to go. Not only is it easy to install and use, but it's incredibly robust and very secure. Once you've installed it, you can forget about it. It runs in the background and it takes care of your connection, keeping it secure. It also comes with many bonus features, like the ability to watch shows that are blocked in your region. Simply set your VPN to the region where the shows are being showed and you can stream them right to your device. Enjoy all the freedoms of an open internet safely and anonymously with no device limits. Surfshark encrypts all of your data sent via the internet, protecting your passwords, private messages, photos, videos, or other sensitive data, and keeps them from prying eyes. Right now, they've got a special offer that you just can't turn down. I'm talking 83%, yes, 83% off a 2-year plan plus 3 extra months for free. Go to surfshark.deals/SerpentZA and use the code SerpentZA to get this amazing deal. Why not give it a shot? I mean, it's only just the most important thing you should be paying attention to after all. Go to surfshark.deals/SerpentZA to take advantage of this amazing deal. And now, back to the show. So you saw the queues. Now those queues are small in comparison to some of the video footage and photos we've seen outside of the Guangzhou consulate and other consulates within China, US consulates and embassies. So many people are trying to get out of China right now and go to the USA, especially since finally the COVID lockdowns are over and Chinese people can more or less freely travel again. But what if you're refused your visa like that poor chap that was in front of me in line? What if you don't qualify for a visa for whatever reason? And there are many reasons that you don't qualify for an American visa. They're too numerous to mention. What if you don't have the means, or what if you just don't want to go through the nightmare of applying for that visa? What if you just want to pay for it and get it done? What if you just want to pay some money and end up in the United States? Well, that's where all these illegal border crossings are coming from. You see, Chinese people aren't just striking it out on their own, heading to the USA to look for opportunity and arrive on the shores and figure things out. No, they already have people waiting for them there. They already have jobs waiting for them there. They already have opportunities that have been lined up for them. They just need to get there. Now, these jobs, opportunities, or family members that they're going to go and meet in the USA are in one of the very large Chinese communities scattered all over the USA. You know, the Chinese diaspora, they've got Chinatowns all over the place. This is where they're headed, ultimately. And once they reach these Chinese communities where that job or that opportunity is waiting for them, the one they've already arranged before leaving China, or where they're going to go stay with family, well, then they can kind of blend in and live unmolested. But why this crazy increase all of a sudden? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The biggest one, of course, is that the lockdowns have been ended in China. This crazy situation where people were so controlled that they couldn't move or do anything, and they were confined to their neighborhoods, confined to their apartments during the whole COVID lockdown thing. It's over. Chinese people can freely travel again. So of course you're going to get a huge number of them leaving all at the same time. That's the biggest reason, number one. The second reason, of course, is the Chinese economy has taken a massive dive. And this is something that you wouldn't know about if you were to read official Chinese propaganda. As far as the officials are concerned and the government is concerned, China's doing amazing. China's so great. It's got the best economy. They grew during the time everyone was locked down inexplicably. And you know what? Things are great. Everyone's happy. It's got the biggest happiness rating in the world and the most satisfied population ever. But of course, if the government is trying to tell the people how satisfied they are, well, you know that they're probably not very satisfied. And, well, they vote with their feet. So that's the second reason. The third reason is that it's inevitably spreading around Chinese social media like wildfire, that even if you are caught crossing the border by the border guards, they will release you anyway. Okay, now this is fairly breaking news, but Chinese nationals that are being caught at the borders are being released to NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and they're being released to them with a notice to appear. So in other words, you get caught crossing the border illegally, you get given a hot meal, they take you down to the detention center, they kind of give you a note that says you have a notice to appear. In other words, appear in court on this day and this day and this day. They take you over to the NGO, drop you off, and that's it, you're off, you're free. And so then they go from there and hop on a plane or take a bus or whatever the case, and they head off to New York, Chinatown, or San Francisco, or LA, or wherever their opportunity / family / job is waiting for them. So there's no risk. The only risk, of course, is getting to the border. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because after a bit of research, it turns out that a lot of the Chinese nationals are flying into Ecuador. And the reason for this is that Ecuador is one of those few countries that doesn't require a visa for Chinese people to travel to. So they fly there, land in Ecuador. The smuggling operation has already been set up. It's already been paid for in advance from China. They meet their smugglers. They get taken across South America, all the way to the border through some very dangerous places, by the way. But of course, they're paying a lot of money, so they get the right kind of protection. They reach the border. They get told, hey, don't carry luggage with you. Wear clean clothes. Walk in that direction. If somebody encounters you, smile or, pretend you don't understand what they're saying. Just, pretend it's all natural and off you go. But why would middle-class people decide to do something like illegally cross a border rather than, go through the proper steps? Well, you have to understand that Chinese society is what we call a low-trust society. Western societies are usually a very high-trust society. In other words, we don't expect people to take advantage of things. Like, for instance, if you put out some food for homeless people, you don't expect a millionaire to drive by and take that free food for themselves, because that's not what you expect. It's there for the homeless people. In China, however, being a low-trust society, it's really dog eat dog. And if you're not careful, you'll get taken advantage of. And you learn to work in that system. And this system of taking advantage when the opportunity arises, because if you don't, you lose out. So why not take this chance? The risk is minimal. I mean, if you get caught, like I said, you just get released anyway. And so what if you get deported? You just try again. Maybe this time you go through Canada. And I didn't even mention that part, but there's been a big issue with people crossing what's called the, the Peace Bridge Park. There's this big park between Canada and the USA, and it's being used now for decades as a way to basically illegally cross from Canada into the USA, or vice versa. And I was reading up on some of the stories, but usually what will happen is, say someone's working in Canada and gets deported. What they do then is they apply and get a travel visa into the USA. They go as part of a tour group, they go to the USA, and then they meet up with their agents who drive them up to the Peace Park, drop them off. They go to the bathroom in the Peace Park, because this park is between the two countries. You can actually just walk in between. They drop them off. They drive through legally, because it'll be a citizen of Canada or of the USA. Drive through and then kind of pick them up on the other side and carry on. So, look, this is all about economics, and it's all about freedom. When you've got a little bit of money in China, you start to realize that the state can take it away at any time. The way the country's gone under Xi Jinping has got a lot of people worried. It's become very authoritarian. It's become very unstable. People don't know if their currency is going to collapse. They don't know. The economy seems to be going down. As much as the Chinese government keeps going on about how fantastic everything is, people on the ground know that's not true. And if they want stability, if they want opportunity, they have to go abroad. And one of the beautiful things about America is that different cultures and people from different backgrounds and ethnicities can thrive here. It's not just happening in America, it's happening with every country around the world. Seen a massive influx of Chinese immigrants recently, legally and illegally. I mean, just think about it for a second here. You don't hear about Americans being arrested at the border trying to cross illegally into China, do you? And you don't hear about America towns popping up all over China. So I hope I've made you aware of something. This is very real, and it's currently still developing, but this massive increase in illegal border crossings by Chinese nationals is something that is on the rise. This is somewhat of a crisis. We need to pay attention, because not only are there legitimate people running away from bad conditions in China or trying to go for better opportunities in America, but there are, of course, agents of the CCP coming in through these channels too. Bad people use these channels to come in too, not just the good people. So let's all keep an eye on this. I hope you learned something. And, well, let's face it, unlike illegal smuggling gangs and people taking advantage of them and criminals breaking the law, stay awesome. Don't forget to check the description for links to where I got all this Border Patrol footage from. And don't forget that Friday I have a live show up to date about China. It's called The China Show. I do it with fellow YouTuber Lau86. And this is a fantastic way for you to keep in touch with what's going on in China right now. We cover the latest stories, the news surrounding China, how China is affecting the rest of the world. Please check it out. You will not be disappointed. And also don't forget that I have a secret podcast every Monday, again with Lau86. It's called Xiaoban Ho, and all the links and everything you need to know are in the description below. Awesome, guys. It's so nice to meet you. Keep in touch.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
Bye.